Hello, 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 Baltimore Orioles fans. The Baltimore Orioles break a 5-game skid off of the bats of Gunnar Henderson, Cedric Mullins, Ryan O'Hearn to finally play some winning baseball. Feels like forever, which is how spoiled we have been. They beat the Cleveland Guardians in the final game of their 3-game series, 4-2. Grayson Rodriguez throws 7 innings of 2-run baseball to earn his 9th win. 3.72 ERA. Eric, this team finally, after a goofy, silly, weird, really bad stretch, and it wasn't, it happens, but they were just playing dumb baseball at times, mentally, technically, all those kinds of things. How good did this win feel after that skid against the Astros and the Guardians to finally get that one off their back?
That's about as refreshing of a win as the Orioles have had in some time. And again, it was a grinded out, kind of win. It's not like they came on and they just mashed and it was 9-1 or something like that. Again, they were down in this game and had to mount another comeback. I think it all starts with Grayson. Obviously, it's funny because the losing streak started with Grayson, and that he wasn't cruising, but he was going along there in Houston, and he hung that one curveball, and they put a good swing on it, and it was like the sun hadn't broken through the clouds since that, and that was Friday night, and here we are Wednesday evening. Everything is right in the world. The Orioles have won again. Gunnar Henderson does Gunnar Henderson things. The guy's just the greatest player on the planet. And he's 22 years old, which is insane. But that was a big one. That was one that, again, every game is big, but if because again, then you're losing 6 in a row, then you're losing 7 in a row, and then you're staring down the barrel at 8 in a row, and it's like, when does this stop? And they found a way to stop the bleeding, and that's really all that matters. And again, now you hope that this starts kind of a relay race of pitchers and their quality starts again, and because pitching is so contagious. So if they can just, Burns is going to come out. I think it's Burns tomorrow, right? Burns is going to, Burns versus, who's it? John Gray. What's his name? John Gray. No H. But again, if they can, come out and play well against him, and then Scherzer on Saturday, that'll be a fun one. Scherzer and Suarez, Povich and Lorenzen on Sunday then. But yeah, again, just go out now you got a 4-game series to try and win against Texas, and but all is right in the world. They won. Everyone can kind of breathe a sigh of relief, and 50 wins. They made it. It seemed like they would never get there, but they made it. So it's also funny, like, we've been Orioles fans for over 30 years. We're used to 5-game losing streaks. Like, we've seen, I would love to know as a 35-year-old how many times the Orioles have lost 5 games.
I mean, think about like 2000.
Hundreds?
Yeah, think about 2000 and 2006, 2007, some of those teams. Think about 3 years ago. They had probably 5-game losing streaks 4 years ago and 5 years. They were in the absolute darkness there. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing that people are fired up, ignited, and pissed off when the Orioles lose 5 games. That's the expectation that you want the players to have for themselves. And I think they played that way tonight. I think Grayson Rodriguez pitched that way with very little margin for error. Let's have a couple shots, but no major damage, not really working himself into jams, and even giving the Guardians the possibility, really, for the most part, to do a major damage inning like has happened to them throughout the Astros series and happened to them yesterday as well. Gunnar Henderson, over the last 7 games, where the Orioles are, 2-5, he is 12 of 27 with 11 runs, 4 home runs, 8 RBIs, 6 walks, only 4 strikeouts, 2 steals. He is hitting .444 over that time. The fighting Gunnar Hendersons, it felt like needed to come out tonight. Gunnar drives in a run. He gets on base early, then drives in a run, hits a home run. And it felt like he has remained steadfast throughout even this kind of crappy period. And I tweeted earlier, it was like, hey, feed off that guy. Like, take that energy, take that focus that he has been exuding for the vast majority of this season, feed off of that, feel it, buy into it. And then we see Cedric Mullins with what I'm going to call the Clipper City tide-turning play of the week. Cedric Mullins, who has been flirting with that foul pole so much, and even the away foul pole, it feels like he's just kept pulling balls a little bit too much, pulling them into that foul area. Him and Santander pull so many balls that could be home runs if they were just, 3 minutes on the clock to the left a little bit. So him to pull that one. O'Hearn gets a very similar pitch from the same reliever. and hits one over there. And man, he absolutely
that ball.
Monster shot. And my name for the evening, Spenny Asari Seti. I love Cedric Mullins. I had finally given up on him pretty much. And shout out to Ryan Ripken, who definitely was like, Cedric's going to be fine. He's going to hang in there. He's a ball player. I hung in there for a long time. Seti's been my boy, but I was like, yeesh. He needs to go on the Phantom IL. He needs to go on Austin Hayes, rehab tour, figure that swing out. And pretty much immediately from there, multi-hit games, hitting for power, dialed in again. He gets a little smirk back in his face. You can tell at the plate when he's locked. He's like, that little side smile. Shout out to me doing a face on a podcast that is mostly listened to without video. But a huge moment from Seti. You love to see it. He's hot as hell and has had a really good series. Had a really good stretch of play here. So thought that was incredible. And man, Grayson rebounded off of a tough start. And he's someone that last year, I've talked about it a ton. Adversity, how do you bounce back from it? How do you rebound after a bad inning? Can you stay in the game? Can you push? Can you limit damage, limit the bleeding, stop hemorrhaging, all those kinds of cliches? Love seeing him bounce back at home. Love seeing him be the guy tonight to avoid getting swept for a second series against an AL playoff contender and lock in, dial in. When the changeup is working, man, that to me is like pretty the two pitchers where I feel like on the Orioles both pitched tonight. If Grayson Rodriguez's changeup is dialed in and if Craig Kimbrel's elevated fastball is dialed in, you can just tell off the bat and it's going to be a good night for them. So Grayson's changeup is working. What did you see out of Grayson tonight, Eric?
Again, yeah, I'm with you. It's weird because it was a weird start because he didn't have a strikeout until what, the fifth, I think, fifth or sixth or something like that. But again, he was good. He gave up the home run to, I'm not even going to pretend to try and pronounce this guy's name. The guy who threw the bat on his first swing or whatever. And then, so he gave up that home run and then he gave up another home run, I believe, but that was pretty much it. Again, he kept them in the game. Again, his stuff, I don't know, it wasn't as crisp just because, again, he wasn't getting those strikeouts, which is fine. He ended up with, 4? I think he ended up striking out like 4 in a row. Yeah, 4 in a row. But again, he went 7 innings, 5 hits. And my big thing, and this is, it's a constant with the pitching staff, with any pitcher in baseball, didn't walk anyone. He's not walking anyone. He's not giving them free base runners. So again, the 5 hits don't bother me. 0 walks, 4 Ks, the 2 home runs, whatever. So again, 3 guys on base, you take away those 2 home runs, those guys are not hanging out on the bases. So there's not much traffic. And again, Cleveland, you said they're one of the better teams in the AL. They had the best record in baseball coming into today. So they are, even though, we don't have to go into this, but I don't think they're better than the Orioles. Like they're not better than the Orioles, not. And they may match up better with them or something, but I'm still taking the Orioles in a 5-game series, in a 7-game series. I think Cleveland is good. I don't think they're like, oh shit, how are we going to get by them in October? They don't have that fear in me yet, but their bullpen is nails. Their starters are decent. They give them enough, but again, the Orioles, great did just enough. Again, that lineup doesn't really scare you. And Kwan is a hitting machine. Wow, I didn't realize he went 0 for 4, and now he's batting .377. His average dropped like 20 points going 0 for. Again, Jimenez doesn't really scare you. Ramirez is a monster. And then they got that guy. What's his name? I don't do with the long name. Daniel Sheeman something. Sheeman. Fry is awesome too. He's been killing it. But again, it's a lineup where it's kind of like the Yankees. If you can dance around the top 4. We saw what damage Jose Ramirez can do. All that guy does is hit home runs. That's all he does. Even when first base is open and you pitch to him for some reason. But again, if you can dance around that their top 3, 4, 5, you're kind of good. You should. I say that, but again, the bottom of their lineup, Bo Naylor was batting like a $188. He went like 4 for 4 or something yesterday. He killed them in their 2 wins. But I thought Grayson was good. Again, it's nice having that that stopper where, Grayson rarely, I feel like, puts up stinkers at home. Obviously, he had some last year in the playoffs and against Texas and Anaheim as well. But, I feel like he takes it more personal than other pitchers. And, he really is this is on me to finish this. It starts with me. And
his intensity is palpable. You can feel that he is – it's almost like he's a tennis player a little bit more so than he's just, a part of the team. His battle is with himself and how great he can be a little bit. You can really feel it in the way that his body language, his emotions, the way he conducts himself is 100%. So I feel like harboring that emotion into fire is imperative, and didn't walk anybody today, which is huge. They've always been struggling a ton with walks. Suarez struggled a ton. Povich, who has pitched really competitively, dancing around with walks a good bit. Cole Irvin, at times having some loosey-goosey ones. So I think the Guardians in the first 2 games, we'll talk about that middle game yesterday. Oh my God. But they did a great job. Just they had whatever tips or whatever situations they liked, and they were aggressive. Cole Irvin, I hate to toot my own horn on this one, as wrong as I was about Cedric not being able to turn things around, but he's been getting hit hard all year, and the Orioles defense has been, making plays. The ball has been falling a little bit. If you go check out how often he's barreled on Baseball Savant and all that, it hasn't looked pretty. So hate to see it for our guy Cole Irvin. Hopefully he's able to bounce back. But that's why I thought today was so huge, following those 2 games where they just couldn't muster a lead. They couldn't just use the word boat race. They couldn't just push out in front so they could try and use Cano, use Kimbrel, use those guys. They obviously don't have Coulomb, but just you really felt the impact over the weekend and through, now of Means is down, Bradish is gone, Wells is gone, Coulomb's not there, not to bring up Felix. Felix, you knew that going into the year, but just felt like you felt that pressure and you felt that manifest for Suarez and Irvin a little bit over their last couple starts. And, those guys are doing much better than maybe anticipated still, regardless of how kind of much they've struggled the last couple of games. Irvin has gotten crazy run support the last 2 starts and just hasn't been able to keep it, at a 4 or 5 run. I can go 5 and get you 4 or 5 runs. Hasn't been able to flirt with that quality start, maybe a little worse area. Guys are hitting him hard. So hopefully this game gives you a sigh of relief. Being at home, I think right now, considering that the rotation is kind of in flux, I think is huge. I think to just be able to mentally settle down, be in your own bed, be confident, play in your own yard, warm up where you're used to warming up. I think those things hopefully can help the Orioles, who, let's not forget, let's give them a little bit of grace, are amidst the definition of the dog days of summer with their 99 games and 99-day freaking stretch that they have right now. So having multiple starters go down and Coulomb, probably your best reliever this year, probably was going to be an all-star. We've talked about that a ton. All of a sudden, maybe he comes back in September. So that win today was needed. It was a breath of fresh air. Hopefully can be a turning point. And I like to see this team, Eric, have some adversity. I like a slump right now. Let's see how Westberg in his second year, barely out of his rookie year, can pull himself back from having some crappy stretches of baseball, some crappy at-bats and doing some goofy stuff. Let's see if Cade Povich is for real. Let's see if he can notice, I need to perform. I have a little pressure on me to win games right now for this team when we're reeling. So love seeing this young team be able to rally. And no one else, I don't apply that to Gunnar Henderson, but he is 22 years old. And, all those guys. So love seeing a little bit of adversity right now. The AL is still very much for the taking. Is Michael Elias going to have to make moves? Yeah, but you still got to just rock and roll today.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, the team will change. This isn't the same team you're going to see the day after the deadline. There will be new faces added. Mayo comes up. I know Jackson talked about, hoping to rejoin the Orioles after the All-Star break. He just came back, I think today or yesterday, from his injury. But yeah, again, this is a real nut up or shut up time for a lot of guys. Again, Cade Povich, you talked about Cole Irvin, and Cole was harder on himself than anyone else was yesterday. If you heard him after the game, he's like, I don't like how I'm pitching. And, I think I like that, you want him to kind of get pissed off and realize that it's not good enough. And he knows that. I think we all know it. But yeah, again, them being at home, this is a nice stretch for them to be at home. And again, it does suck because they finally do get that off day at the end of the month. And again, it's no excuse. This is a baseball schedule. I know the guys are exhausted. They are absolutely drained. It's been 90 degrees every day. It was last week when they were in New York and Houston. Obviously, the dome there helps, but the guys are dog tired. It's the dog days of summer. They're playing this brutal schedule. And not many people are talking about this, but obviously Texas comes in for 4 starting tomorrow. Sunday night's game got moved to that's ESPN baseball. That's Sunday night baseball. That's a 7:10 start. They have an off day the next day, but they fly to the West Coast. So as yes, you do like, getting the national recognition and being on the ESPN. Against a team that wiped the floor with you in the playoffs last year. It's nice to kind of try and get, I don't want to say payback because it's not payback for last year. Nothing ever will be. But again, it's nice that you can kind of take that national stage. But then again, they kind of lose an off day the next day by having to fly out to Seattle. Who knows, they're going to get in at 4 or 5 a.m. or whatever. So I don't know, weird schedule there. But then again, you do a kind of a softer schedule, Seattle, Oakland, come home for the Cubs, and then the Yankees before the All-Star break. And I'm looking ahead, but I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days off in July. So I know the guys will be happy to see that. That'll be big. Again, hopefully we have some guys in the Derby on the 15th. So little Jakey will be able to, go up to Jimmy's and watch the Derby party there. But again, have a lot of days forward to July, but they're tired. They're playing, they were playing like dog shit. They know it. They realize it. It's a good win to snap out of that against a very good Guardians team, and all praise to our Lord and Savior Gunnar Henderson, because the guy is you said it too, where like the guys should feed off him. They absolutely should. That's who, a dude who plays every single day, 22 years old, giving it his bottom of the first inning. He is head to toe in dirt every single game. Every single game. That should be the guy where you're like, not saying that any of the guys are like slacking off. No one's like playing like, dog shit right now. But that's a guy where I look at him and it's like, that's who we should follow. That's who we need to be following. And he kind of got it started tonight. So it's you don't have to, somebody tweeted, I think it was Matt Kremenser. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I think he tweeted and said, you never have to wonder if Gunnar Henderson's going to show up. He always does. So he's a nice constant in all of our lives. In all of our lives that are so chaotic, the one constant is Gunnar Henderson just being a psychopath. That's just what it is.
You mentioned the dirt. Do you think there's kind of we kind of got away from the mangy dog nickname there a little bit? I think he's looking more and more like one with the stash and the hair. Mm-hmm. Now that he's a dirt dog. He's rolling around in the clods in the dirt, just making his presence known out there.
Dirt dog, that's a good like mascot. Like you got Long Beach State being the dirt bags. Shout out Brandon Hyde, he's a dirt bag. Yeah, dirt dog would be good. I would rock a Gunner dirt dog jersey.
Nobody clipped that.
Jersey.
Jake, what'd you see out of Uncle Craig today?
Uncle Craig, he just looked like he looked early in the season, right? He had the high heat going. He was walking with a little swagger. He moved off the mound there on that one. All good things, he walks a guy and everything and all that. But overall, it just kind of the thing that I like about it is that there's not a lot to say. With Craig, it's kind of like an offensive lineman, right? You don't want to be talking too much about what Uncle Craig's doing. You just want to get in there, open up the briefcase, pull the crackers out like Kramer, and just get to work. And that's what he did. Not Dean Kramer, the other Kramer, Cosmo. But yeah, no, it was workmanlike. Cosmo, of course, Cosmo. And, like I said, it was just another day at the office, kind of it felt like, which was nice. And quietly, like I've been saying, I've been kind of joking about the All-Star thing. That's obviously not going to happen. But, it feels like he's getting back to that pace a little bit. And it's nice we're not having these apocalyptic conversations about him that we were having a couple months ago when it looked like the rails were really, the cart was really coming off the rails there. So it's good to see my guy come back and get it done. And it's great to have that happen when they snap a 4-game losing streak and they get the win tonight. I get to tweet that picture out. Feels like things are right with the universe again.
100 million%. Still a tough series. And really yesterday was brutal. I will remember that James McCann game forever. I think that I remember.
He's always doing stuff.
It might have been Locked On Orioles said that was the first time the Orioles have lost a game where he's had 2+ hits, and that was just perfect, but also so doesn't encapsulate the James McCann experience. It was like it reminded me like Vince Young back in the day playing quarterback, just pick, 50-yard scramble, fumble, sack, touchdown, hit stick someone. Every possible thing that could have happened in a game of a catcher happened. Like,
what did he say on PMT all those years ago?
Chill in the first half and then go the fuck off.
Fuck off. Yeah, that was kind of, but it was really James McCann. It was the McCann coaster is what it was. It was up and down. And like I say on here, he's always doing stuff. I don't know if I ever specified it was always good stuff. He was really doing stuff last night. And yeah, some of it very bad, some of it very good. Guy is just not a base runner. I think we know that at this point. Those old legs aren't getting him around the bases probably like they used to. I don't know if they ever were Speedy Gonzalez to begin with. That was a true spectacle. That's a game. Eric, you talk about series and games that we just kind of flush and forget about. That Astros one the other night we were talking about is one of them. I think I'll remember this series as the James McCann series, and just for that game. I know Gunnar is still doing the things that he's doing. It was great to see Uncle Craig get off the schneid there. But yeah, I mean, James McCann, what else can you say about him? He's always doing stuff. Sometimes good, sometimes bad.
Gets thrown out and throws 2 runners out. How everything you could possibly want. Like if you go to see a movie, it had action, it had romance, it had comedy, it had cheesy lines, like everything you could possibly want, except for probably throwing to second base with 1 out. And then seeing the Guardians go ahead and score 4 more runs.
Did you give us an Uncle Craig picture, Jake?
I did, yeah. Go and check it out. Actually, Luke, we got it going there. Chicken legs are I'm a little concerned about that. It might be time to start hitting leg day.
You got some Clemmer legs going for us?
It's not quite that bad. I'm not like a Nicky Clicky Ricketts situation, but they've always been a little on the stringier side. I'm a tall, lank board of a guy. So yeah, maybe it's
time. Long Johnson, that's what they call him.
Yeah, they do. Big. I mean, I am big and strong though. So that's
I've seen worse legs.
Big physical presence out of Jakey boy. What else do we have in these ones, boys? I mean, Jose Ramirez was outstanding consistently. He is just underrated short. And I don't really think about it until I just watch a full game he plays. And to generate that much power at that height is fantastic. He is just a sick player, deserves all the accolades in the world right now. And I mean, like you just said, Eric, Guardians are sitting atop the AL, and he's starting to rack up some pretty crazy numbers. And I feel like, everyone's talking about Judge and Henderson, and don't count out Joe Ramirez there, who is hitting, had it somewhere, hitting,
70 something, right?
Yeah, he's got 21 home runs, 72 RBIs, hitting 275, 15 steals, quietly just putting together an awesome season for himself. So he was full-fledged Jose Ramirez this series.
Do you guys talk about that kid who homered on his first at-bat tonight? That kind of felt like a little Gunner revenge there, didn't it?
Well, I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name. I don't know how you say that, but people were calling it the Machado because he launched his bat on the first swing. So I said he should be suspended. I said the run should be taken off the board. I thought it was a disgusting act. I didn't think that there's any room for that in baseball. So, if they would have lost that game, I would have protested that. But Jose Ramirez is he's going to be a Hall of Famer. Like he's maybe the most underrated player of our generation. Like go look at his stats. He's I think he's top 5 in a lot of Cleveland Indian / Guardian history books. Like he's an awesome player. So
31 years old, 237 home runs, career 279 hitter, career 855 OPS. He's a stud, man. Has been for a long time.
He's awesome. He's very, very good.
Stephen Kwan, what an absolute pest that guy is. He's just literally every at bat, he just finds a way to get on base. It's probably kind of how teams feel with Gunnar, maybe a little bit less pop with the bat there, obviously, but just an absolute pest of a guy. That's a guy that's always doing stuff, and it's usually positive.
Oh, it's every ball is 0-2, or every at bat's 0-2, and you're like, all right, we got this guy. And they're nope, pokes one up through the middle. I'm pretty sure he was Adley's teammate for at Oregon State. So get all the Beaver boys. But thank God he's not in the AL East. I would hate him. He's like a Dustin Pedroia, where you're like, this guy, what is this guy? He's like Brett Gardner. That's exactly what he is. He's a better hitting Brett Gardner, less power. But again, I mean, he was third in the Rookie of the Year with Julio, Adley, and Stephen Kwan. Because I remember it was Adley and Julio back and forth all year for Rookie of the Year. And then the Guardians kept being Stephen Kwan. And we're like, shut the, the adults are talking. Go sit down at the table. What are you doing? And then he's just turned into a very good player. So again, Jake,
I remember that vividly. And it reminded me a little bit of back in the day, when people would be like, oh, who would you rather have? Bryce Harper or Mike Trout? And Orioles fans, myself included, would be like, hey, I got some news for you.
Yeah. We're
check out this Machado guy.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Again, this is if they would have lost this game still, even with the win, maybe the most. I said it about the Astros series. This may be the most forgettable series that they play all year. Like, you could ask me in 2 months about the series.
I disagree.
This should be a bit that you do where after every series you say this. Like if they sweep like the Junkies the next time they play them, the most forgettable series. They just won.
It is a running bit for Eric. I think he's trying to see.
No, I'm serious.
We're not forgetting the James McCann game 2 months from now. Like, you could bring up James McCann in 2026, and I'll be like, dude, that one game, oh my God, the James McCann experience. I'll remember that for sure.
It should be the Masson rain delay game. 4 years from now, we're sweating out a rain delay.
Win, though, right? Do they ever show losses? Probably not.
Better not.
The Keegan Aiken game.
Listen, I could get in there and give them some really provocative programming ideas. I got some good stuff in the hopper here for them.
Shout out to John Kenzie Noel, one of the most fun names to type out, hitting his first home run tonight. Had to go face Uncle Craig, bottom of the ninth. A little bit of a tough scene, but hey, man, goes in, gets a home run in his debut. There you go. That was fun. A lot of fun stuff this series overall. Wouldn't be saying that. There's also a fun series for us to recap because I feel like every single time the Orioles, even if they win the series, we recap, they just keep losing. They keep winning the first two and then losing the third. They get swept by the Astros. You guys might not – was the 17-5 the final game of the series last week?
Yeah. It was,
You guys got that one.
That was Taylor and I. Taylor from the car in College Park.
Yeah. I was seeing the bike rides. Good movie.
That was a good one.
That. So, as the Orioles welcome – is this the first time they played the Rangers this year, or am I crazy? Is this second?
Yeah. No, first time.
First time playing the Rangers since getting swept by them. Hopefully able to unleash some sins and – repent for what happened last year in that sweep. Rangers team that hasn't been stellar. Who do you think finishes with a better record between them and the Astros? I want to ask the party right now.
I think the Astros win that division.
I was going to say it's hard not to say the Astros, but it feels like a little bit of recency bias after we just saw them. Like, I'm not super tapped into the Rangers right now, to be perfectly honest. So
the Astros are sitting at 500. The Rangers are 37-43, and then the Mariners a little bit up on the Astros right now. Mariners really need to acquire a bat. They really, really, really need to get some bats.
Julio has done nothing for them. Like, he's bad.
I think of him and Randy Arozarena as just like electric, younger outfielders with like 5'2" outfielders that have just not done shit this year, really.
No.
Sick rookie of the year award. Put that
young, yes.
Sickly good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Houston's 8-2 in their last 10. They've won 7 in a row. They have a plus 30 run differential. 13-22 against teams over 500, so that ain't good. But again, I mean, Seattle doesn't do anything for me. I think they're frauds. So they don't bother me at all. Now I know saying that they'll sweep the Orioles in next week, and we'll be pretty happy about that. But yeah, again, it's, as long as the Mets keep winning too. I mean, they were my third star of the day.
I think you need to give a star to Grimace.
Or the gay, I mean, the gay Mets too. They're killing it. Grimace and the gay Mets. Good for them. Good for the Mets. They're
some of these aggregator accounts are having a lot of fun with the Pride Month stuff. We've talked about that, and we don't have to go too in depth. But man, what just a content bonanza, just an engagement farming day for the ages.
Yeah, this was a day I was off Twitter all day today. I actually had to do work today, so I missed everything. So I'll need a recap on everything, but. Yeah, I don't know. 50-30. It's a pretty looking record. I hope they were. You'd wish that they were a couple more games above 500, but 20 will have to do for now. Do they still have the most runs in baseball? Yes, the Orioles still have the most runs in baseball by like a decent margin too. So that's pretty funny. 407.
Am I saying the Mets Yankees got delayed today? Just now?
Yeah, it's 4-0 in the bottom of the fifth. I think they should think about the safety of the players and call the game.
Yeah, I mean, these obviously we're not quite to late summer yet, but in the Northeast here, you can get some pretty serious summer storms. We got one rolling through here tonight. So yeah, I think you're right. Maybe just we'll call that one and pick it up another time.
I wouldn't risk it at all.
That would be the fourth straight series loss for the Yankees if they're not able to come back from that one.
And that's, again, I mean, obviously this week sucked. Ever since Friday, it sucked. And Orioles, it seemed like they were just in a free fall. And like Jake, Spenny, and I were talking about it, like, been alive 35 plus years. I wonder how many times the Orioles have lost 5 games or more. And but this week was like oh, like burn everything, trade Grayson. We got to just get rid of everyone.
I saw that tweet, and like some people will probably say it's like pretty trite, but like we are very spoiled right now, and it's funny how quickly you can become spoiled as a sports fan. Like how just quickly when you go from the outhouse to the penthouse, like we have here as Orioles fans in the last couple of years. Like obviously, I'm one of these people that I think it's smart and prudent to stay critical of the front office, stay critical of the coaching staff. Don't go overboard, obviously, but have that kind of critical eye. But you do need to kind of keep the perspective here that like, hey, a 4-game losing streak, it happens to a lot of great teams. I think Jim Palmer was actually making a good point on Twitter the other night. Hope everything's well with our Uncle Jim. Just about, I think one of the years he won the World Series, he was saying that they had a skid like that. They didn't even win 100 games. And yeah, it's kind of the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. So, I mean, I'd feel better certainly if they looked better in the series than they did. But, listen, they stopped the skid here, and hopefully they can build off this a little bit.
The 83 Orioles, I think they had 2 7-game losing streaks. Like that's go. Yeah, that's and they happen again. I mean, you look at the Rangers last year. Obviously, they snuck in at the very last minute, but they didn't have a great season, and teams have lost games before. It's going to happen. It was a very frustrating run. I think it was just because how they were losing. Like that Astros series was just dog water after dog water, and then Cleveland, the way that series, the way that started was whatever, but then the game last night was just like, I mean, they couldn't stop anything. There was a leak, and they just couldn't do anything to stop it. But again, you said the word critical. Spenny and I talked about it before that we should probably say what's going on Saturday with our special Saturday edition of a Exit 52 podcast. We're gonna interview Buster Olney, so that should be out sometime on Saturday. And again, it's gonna be we're not gonna like roast him or anything like that. Again, he's taking the time out of his very busy schedule coming to Baltimore. I didn't even think about that. Like, he's gonna be in Baltimore. We should have just done it, in person.
Well, I think what we should do is we should send Banks there and just have him do the interview solo, and he'll start by opening up a small box, and he'll hand him a rock with a note taped to it that says "suck on this." Then he'll proceed to ask him, "Who do you think you are? What gives you the right?" Things of that nature.
Yeah. So again, that should be a fun interview. Again, we're not gonna be name calling. We've all said stuff about Buster. He's aware of Orioles fans' thoughts and feelings about him. And it's funny because I was talking to the producer of his podcast today, who I'm friendly with, who's a great follow. I don't know his Twitter and Instagram off the top of my head.
It's at CT Schwink.
There we go. Okay, didn't know he had it like that.
I know.
I said something, and I go, we're gonna keep it pretty light. I said, and don't worry, like no one hates the Orioles more than me right now. Like, so Buster, even if he wanted to, couldn't hate the Orioles more than me right now. So
I think he's gonna. I might be in the interview. I'm still kind of tentative for it. I think he'll just turtle shell all of us, and we'll walk away all being friends. That's
100%. We're not going to be mean guys. He's
again,
it's local guy. He was in the area forever.
Well, and again, it's the guy's taking time out of his busy schedule to talk with us, and we're not in any position to like shame this man. Boo! There's your dragon.
I think we got to get Rosenthal after. Just line up the Grim Reaper meme and just talk to Uncle Ken a little bit about the bow ties, and just all that good stuff.
Ripken smashing his laptop as he's writing the article about how he needs to sit. Yeah, we could get anyone from the old press box. And
listen, I have the newspaper, like an authentic newspaper of his when the streak happened, the 2131 framed in my office. So nobody loves Uncle Ken more than me.
I know you're a big Uncle Ken guy. I don't mind Ken. I don't mind Rosenthal. So yeah, that should be fun. Again, I've been pretty excited about that and been brainstorming some questions. So again, stay tuned for that sometime this weekend on Saturday, and get your Hawaiian. Listen to the podcast as you're on your way to the yard to get your Hawaiian T-shirt, which that game is sold out Saturday night. I'll be there Friday, indulging in many adult substances at Pickles beforehand.
In these questions you've been brainstorming, how many hardly knower jokes have you kind of workshopped and batted around a little bit?
None. I don't know what you know about me, but I'm a very mature and intellectual young man. Okay.
I do know that about you. That's one thing I do.
If there's one thing I can hang my hat on, it's being a mature little boy. You know that.
Saturday sold out, I believe, at the Yard. Should be a hot, steamy weekend. Should be a fun one, man. Very excited. Just excited to see what this team can do bouncing back after playing some stupid bonehead baseball and reeling themselves in. I think this is the kind of shit they need to flesh out right now in the dog days of summer. I think this is good. I think this will be a good thing. I feel like I talked about that when we did like season preview, and I thought they would. My prediction, and I'll even knock on wood because I don't want it to come true, but I thought that they would go through like a really, really, really shitty slump at some point this year in the summer. I think that's what I said, and that it'll make them better for it. And maybe they don't win 100 games or 95 games, but in the playoffs, like I feel like having to dial back in when you know you're reeling is something that can translate into playoff success, especially for younger players. So curious to see what they do. The Rangers coming to town has to give them a little bit of salt in their mouth, a little bit of bitterness, and want to repent for the sins of last year. And I mean, you've got Corbin fucking Burns on the mound tomorrow, so that'll be a good one.
Sorry, go on, Jake.
Yeah, you've also made the point that they're young and they kind of don't, they don't really seem to have much of an edge to them.
What you say is that they just don't know better too. You say that a lot. They don't know any better.
Yeah, they don't know better. They're young, and they've all listen, to get to Major League Baseball, you have to be the best guy in your town. You have to be the best guy at your high school. You have to be the best guy at your college. If you choose to go to that, you have to be the best guy on your AAA team. You have to be the best guy on your AA team. You have to be the best guy on your AAA team a lot of the time. And yeah, it's just been a lot of just climbing the rungs of success all the way through for these guys, with the exception of probably O'Hearn, who obviously went through a ton of struggles in his career, and he's one guy that you could point to. But yeah, I think it's a well-made point that they're young, and they really haven't had any shit shoveled in their face yet. To make that as crude as it could possibly have been. I probably could have gone for a better analogy there. But outside of that Rangers series, it hasn't been a lot for these guys adversity wise, at least on the diamond. I'm sure they're dealing with all their own stuff. But the Rangers one will be one to draw on, and I think this will be a good kind of looking glass thing where they can kind of look back and say, hey, yeah, that absolutely sucked. Like, let's try to avenge that, starting with this series, and then hopefully build on it for the remainder of the second half of the year, and then hopefully the playoffs.
I mean, if they just go back to playing solid baseball plus winning baseball, then it really isn't even like a skid. When you look back at the end of the year, you're not going to be like, oh, remember the 5-game losing streak? That's not shit. I mean, you got to talk.
I said on the Astros recap,
like losing 13 out of 17. That's a real skid.
I said on the Astros recap that I hope they do, because I hope that's the last time they got swept, right? I hope they'll look back and say, man, that really sucks, losing 4 games in a row, right? That doesn't happen too often. Like, I think that would be a good thing.
It's almost like, like college basketball when there's that team that's, 25-0 or 26-0, and like late February comes and people are like, I think they should probably lose a game or lose a couple games before the tournament just to kind of flush it out of their system. We even, it was always the talk with like Gonzaga, where it's like, you got to get a loss under your belt, going into March. And that's almost what it's like. It's like, you kind of want them to get punched in the face. And also, like you guys have said, this is the perfect opponent for them to face right now. Like, they smoked the Phillies, they smoked the Yankees, they got knocked around by Houston, they got knocked around by Cleveland. So they should be pissed off. They should be mad. They should be embarrassed. And it's like, when you pick yourself up off the dirt and you look over, I hope Gunnar sees red. I hope he's like, these motherfuckers again. Like, we're not up in here. We're not doing this again. Like, I want full psycho Gunnar to come out, like a leadoff home run on tomorrow. They're flying in from Milwaukee. They lost an extra inning game today. They used 4 pitchers. I would just love for him to like set that tone early and, hit a ball onto the flag court, and he whips his bat towards the dugout. And it's kind of just like, light something under these guys. Because again, I mean, all of these guys were in that dugout last year. They were the ones watching them get steamrolled by this team on the way to the World Series. This should really, really piss them off. And again, light their, light something underneath them. The Orioles social media team and all that is great. Their game presentation or whatever. If I'm them, I'd put up highlights of that game 1 and game 2 on the scoreboard and show the Orioles like, hey, you remember what they did last year when they came in here? You remember that, right? Go flush that out and go take care of business. Because again, this is a Rangers team who they're kind of a wounded dog right now. Go attack them. Go sick them.
So we've got
take them out back and old yeller them, but go do something to them.
So we've got me proposing that Masson on Orioles Classics, play a loss from a completely forgettable game, however many years down the road that'll be. And then we've got you pitching the Camden Yards scoreboard, playing highlights from the most painful series in recent memory. Yep. I think we're really onto something here. I think we've got some great ideas that we can take to some high level people, some big swinging dicks, as it were, and really make some stuff happen. I like this brainstorming session. That's what I'm saying.
Maybe we could dig up Earl Weaver's body and they can like weekend at Bernie him in the clubhouse or something. Get him a little fired up.
Have I ever told you my theory that I think he's still alive somewhere?
Who, Earl? You think he faked the heart attack on that cruise?
Yeah, and he's actually my thought is that he's actually still out on a cruise somewhere, just sailing the high seas, drinking 10 daiquiris a day and just fishing and
No, that's Banks.
Well, maybe they'll come across each other one day. It'll be like the end of Shawshank.
Yeah.
I hope my friend Banks comes down to the sea. I hope. It
could be, but yeah, I hope they just absolutely get after the Rangers. So I foresee.
Would that be good for you? Would you like to see that? You want to see that happen?
My Cleopatra, my Miss Cleo, call me now.
I'm really excited for when they do eventually sweep them. They're like, most forgettable series of the year. I don't really have much for this live show. You guys can kind of take it from there.
It'll be like, star of the series. I don't know, Gunner, I guess. He did that cool thing where he did that thing and everyone cheered. Like, that's just what he does.
Kind of got some John Bender vibes in the Breakfast Club. Like, you think I care about any of this? Principal Skinner, you gonna give me another detention? That's another detention? I don't care.
Super cool thing I saw tonight too. Before, I don't know, we could probably wrap up, but the Shark Week stuff in the bird bath was awesome. That was that was great. I love that. Good. That was good. That was good stuff. That was good vibes. That was I did like that. And speaking of good vibes, we get your boy Uncle Ben back in the mix. His college baseball.
Little Larry Sanders show shout out with the hey now in the airport. I love that from Uncle Ben.
I saw that. But yeah, it should be a good time again. I'm hoping they're big crowds. Jake, are you there Friday? Are you kind of come to Pickles with Spenny and I?
We're gonna have to see. I'm gonna play it by ear. I think
there were some cheap tickets on Game Time. Daddy saw. That's where I got them.
Yeah, let's send me a link. We'll connect on that. We'll set up a quick 5-minute call for some introductions, and we'll go over the slide deck. I'm interested in what you're selling. Let's just say that.
I hate you so much. There's just so much I hate about
it. We'll circle back.
$13 tickets. $13 tickets right now. You get two tickets for $46 in the upper deck, aka Centerfield Bar. So
yes, send me the link.
All right, I should earn some commission on that. But anyways, yeah, I don't know. Good one. Good. Finally, good to get a win. Thank God. Thank God I'm a country boy. Thank God they got the win.
And that John Denver was foolish.
Vote for the All-Star thing. It ends tomorrow. I've been voting my freaking face off. I'm like the lady in Happy Gilmore. Like my fingers hurt. And like Rubenstein's over there, like, guess what? Now your back's gonna hurt. Like you have to go do the Bermuda grass in the pitcher's eye. So yeah, I hate you.
Not a show, boys. Any closing thoughts here? Any last? Give me one last thing. Carol Hodges said she's voted every day. We love it, Carol.
If you're in line, stay in line.
Yeah, if you're in line, stay in line. Big dog gift to Grayson. Tiger Woods, big dog, dap up, my guy. It's fun to have. Not one stopper, but two. Grayson's a certified ace. He's a bona fide stud. Would love to see him in the All-Star game. I think he really deserves it. But yeah, keep on voting. Buster Olney interview on Saturday. We'll see you at Jimmy's for the home run derby. All I know is if Gunner is in it, they're going to cook up an absolute goosebumps video announcing it, because I don't know how he can't be in it. He has to do it. He has to.
Don't mess up that swing.
I don't think he can.
Bigger sluggers than him have fallen victim to it.
Yeah, but they're not as good as hitters as he is. He's just so good.
I'm with you. I'm just considering all the angles over here. I'm just trying to look at it from a 30,000 foot view, really open the kimono, and just do some disruptive things here. That's what we're all about here. It's kind of a work hard, play hard environment.
This goddamn.
Should we wear big dog shirts if I go on Friday night? Can we do that?
If I had a big dog shirt, I would wear one.
I'm sure we can get one easily.
I'll have to go to like Marshall.
You can find thousands of big dog shirts, or just like go to Goodwill.
You might not be able to get them at like a brick and mortar, like they might be out of circulation, but I'm sure you could maybe even thrift one.
Yeah, maybe I'll have time tomorrow. Oh, the tarp is coming off the field in Queens, so
oh boy.
LFGM. That's all I have to say, baby. Love it.
Uncle Frank.
I think that's the show, boys. Thank you so much, everyone who listened. Follow us on YouTube, subscribe, do all the smash the like button, all that good stuff. Follow the podcast at Exit 52 Podcast. Eric is at EDITTI22. Brian's at Barstool Banks. Taylor is at Taylor Smythe 10. Jake is at Jake Luke. That's LOUQUE. I'm at Ravens 4 Dummies. That's the number 4. Easiest way to support us is to like and subscribe. Come out to Jimmy's when we do awesome events, home run derbies, all that good stuff. Share the podcast with a friend. We love you guys. We will talk to you next time. See ya.
Bye. Bye.